Yeah, so how to hold space. Hey, if you're listening live, welcome. I see some people hopping in. I'm Denny Van. I'm creator at Heartfelt Awakening LLC. We are a multimedia publishing and wellness training company, and I get to create, and I just love my job. But today's topic, how to hold space. And Heartfelt Awakening is all about holding space. And in today's topic, I want to talk about what it is and what it isn't. I've had so many people tell me, I don't know how to hold space. I don't even know what that means. So if that's you, listen in. So first, I'm going to tell you what holding space is not. It's not actually doing anything, it's more being. So it's not doing, and it's more being. Also, holding space is not the term going around these days called spiritual bypassing. So holding space is not spiritual bypassing. And we can get into what spiritual bypassing is. Basically, you're just suppressing. You're suppressing. You're suppressing, and it's very yang, divine masculine. It's the misuse of the divine masculine within you. So when we're suppressing, that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. If you can imagine how much energy that takes to suppress, it's almost like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. Have you ever been to the beach with a beach ball? Yeah. So trying to hold it underwater, no matter what, it's going to pop up somewhere, right? So it requires a lot of energy. That means that situation is going to keep coming up in your experience until you hold space for it and let it play out, let it come to the surface without judgment. And now we're getting into what holding space is. And what I like to tell people what it feels like to me to hold space. I see something happening in my environment that I don't like, whether it's in my virtual environments, things happening that I'm exposed to with what I look at, with what I allow into my experience. And there might be something that I don't like, or maybe I do like it. It doesn't matter what's happening. Whether you judge it to like it or not doesn't matter. It's still happening in your experience. And what holding space means is like you are creating a container. You're not judging it. You're not trying to change it. And here's the important part. You want to let go of what your mind thinks of it. Because the more your mind thinks about it, the more the container breaks. Because you can't have a peaceful container and a busy mind at the same time. So if you're a witness to something and your mind really wants to, spew out all of your beliefs, your opinions, your criticisms, your ideas, your programming, this is actually spiritual bypassing, doing that. If you actually follow through and tell somebody what you think and feed it, it is a form of spiritual bypassing because you are continuing that energy cycle. And holding space in a container allows the cycle to play out and completely disappear. And the beautiful thing is, I'm also an animal communicator. I have been all my life. And since learning about holding the container, I no longer had one-way communication. Like I would feel what the animal was feeling, and then I would translate it because my specialty is nonverbal communication. Whether any animal, human, if it's a deaf person who communicates nonverbally, or someone on the spectrum who doesn't communicate verbally, you can communicate with them non-verbally. because language, 70% or more of our language, how we communicate with each other, is nonverbal. So when you hold a space and you create the container, you are creating a way to communicate for whatever is happening. This is the power of holding space. And this is where transformations happen. Because if you've ever experienced, getting emotional and you're reacting and you're in thought and you're in a very spinning moment and somebody tells you that you're too much, what do? You don't allow that energy to play out. That energy has to play out. Now you're suppressing it. Now you're telling yourself that you're too much, you shouldn't be doing that, blah blah blah. So you create what I call blocks in the nervous system, the mechanisms within the nervous system, and creates reactive loops. You ever behave in ways that you don't want to, yet your body is doing it? So what we can do is hold space, whether it's happening to yourself or you are a witness to it. And this is the hardest thing for many of us to do, because right now, so many of us are so triggered that even hearing a word, somebody saying a word, and we become so offended and we block communication because now we're in our thoughts as to the justification and the reasons why we're so offended by that word. But what we're not doing is hearing 70% of what's behind the word. So what we can do when we find ourselves in that situation is hold space for that feeling to play out and then die instead of reacting to it and feeding it. This is the power we have, and we don't even know it. And then on the other side of that, now that we know it, we can no longer misuse it, because it really is an ignorant, because we don't know, we don't know what we don't know. It's an ignorant misuse of our power. And we are creating situations. And I can give you many examples. A pet owner, the tighter the pet owner gets, the more the animal reacts. The calmer the pet owner gets, the calmer the animal is. And when you're in a calm state with your animal, this is the best time to communicate. And when you're holding this space, you're allowing whatever is happening. So if your child or an animal is acting out, playing out, just hold space, let it play out, and then say, well done. Is there anything else you need? What can I do for you? Just hold space and allow them to be. And this is the hardest thing for our mind to do. And it's the easiest thing as a human being. It's the easiest thing for your being to do. It's the most natural thing to hold space, to be a witness, not try to change it, to allow it to play out. And then if you are a practitioner of any kind, here's an extra step. Allow yourself to upload the learnings of what you just witnessed and held space for. And this is healing on deep levels that many times we don't recognize it, but we begin to see transformation within not only your life, but in the lives of those around you. So holding space is also a way to share your light, your energy, to expand and open, and to practice transcending the mind. The mind is going to do its thing. And you're going to feel your mind coming in when you hold space. Just recognize it. Thank you, mind. Thank you. And then come back to holding space. And some of the things NLP teaches is to connect kinesthetically, connect auditorily, connect visually, connect through smell, connect through taste. So if you're holding space and you're having a hard time getting out of your mind, getting out of all the thinking that we're doing, connect to your senses, connect to 2 or 3 senses, and try this. Focus on something with your eyes, look at something, listen to something, and feel something kinesthetically. If you can focus on those 3 things, your mind can't come in. Only you can let it in. Your mind's going to come in because this is a practice. It is a practice to hold space. That's the beauty. And it must start with you. Hold space for yourself, to make the mistakes, to say the things, to just not say things, to just allow whatever is happening. Hold space. And now that you know the importance of holding space and how to hold space and to no longer spiritually bypass. Because when you're holding space, even though your eyes might be focused in on something and you're using your senses to really stay in that space of open expandingness instead of thinking or thought or in the mind. So if you can focus in on what it is you're looking at, look at something. And it doesn't have to be the person, any person. It could be the wall. It could be the picture on the wall. Your eyes are focused in on something in the environment that you're in. And just listen. Listen to whatever is being said, any sounds. Focus in on a sound. Focus in on someone who might be experiencing something or asking for prayers. This is a wonderful way to hold space for prayers. And prayers doesn't necessarily mean words. And we can totally make another topic about the true meaning of prayer. And it's not just give me the food for today and blah, blah, blah. It's not the words. So it's the feeling you create in the environment that you're in the container that you are in. And you create the container. It could be the room you're in. It could be this city you're in. It could be the planet you're on. It could be the solar system you're in. There's no limit here. This part of you is unlimited. The mind, the thinking, the thoughts, the judgments, the opinions, all of those things are the human part of you, the doing. When you hold space, there is no doing, only being. So I encourage you, whatever is happening, and there's lots happening. Oh my goodness, the stories we're getting. Thank you for the stories, and we are holding space for you. And if you want space held for you, definitely send me an email. We can even do talks of just holding space and being within the space with us that you are holding. And we become lit up throughout the world. So no matter where you are on this planet, become a container and let whatever it is play out and then fizzle out. This is how it works. But if we feed it, if we allow our thoughts to take over and become reactive, then it doesn't fizzle out and die. It keeps going. It keeps going. And in fact, you feed it your energy and it drains you. When you hold space and allow it to fizzle out, guess who benefits from receiving all of that energy that just fizzled out? So if you're an energy worker, you know what I just said. You know the power you have on an energetic level. And everything happens metaphysically before it manifests physically. So if you can make these changes on this level, this is when profound transformations happen. So if you're a parent, hold space for your child. Don't react to your child anymore. If you have an animal, a cat, a dog that is misbehaving, it's a way it's trying to communicate with you. And if you are getting frustrated and your animal is misbehaving, it's because you are the one who is not communicating, not holding space for whatever it is that is happening, because there is communication trying to happen. And when communication doesn't happen, frustration happens on all sides. And we're all experiencing this right now. Just look around you. Everything that's happening around us is miscommunication or discommunication. Blatantly miscommunicating and confusing people even more, which feeds a certain agenda or certain, some people call it pendulums. It's an energy construct that we are feeding. And if we allow it to just play out without feeding it, without reacting to it, holding a container for it, letting it fizzle out, you've gained your power, and healing and transformation happened. It cannot help but happen. Excellent. So now you know how to hold space. Every single one of you. And there's so many listeners listening in. Hi, Allison. Hi, Claire, Richard, Taylor, Dontoria. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Kurt, Robert, Marge. Thank you guys. Elijah, April, Nancy, Gerald, Lauren, thank you guys so much for taking time out on wisdom to gain some wisdom. And to me, this is like, you can't put a price tag on knowing how to hold space. You just can't. You can't. However, if you need help with this, because trauma, our thoughts, our reactions, our programming, sometimes these things can prevent us from being able to hold space for anyone else. We first have to learn how to hold space for ourselves. And so if that's you, or if you feel that this would be something that you can bring to your organization, this is something we teach as part of our wellness programs. And our wellness programs are very in-depth, transformational, and intense in a very good way. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely send me a message. Denny at heartfeltawakening.com. And in the meantime, keep being amazing. Hold space. I'm holding space for you now.